I need to tell you about the game we played when we were kids. You probably played something like it. Bloody Mary, light as a feather, the Ouija board at a sleepover. Stupid stuff. Things you do because you're bored and you want to feel a little scared before you go back to being safe. We had our own version. We called it the quiet game. But it wasn't about who could stay silent the longest. It was about listening. About sitting in the dark, in a room with no windows, and waiting for something to whisper your name. We were 12. Me, my brother David, and our cousin Ellie. We'd sneak into my grandparents' basement after everyone else went to sleep. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floors, exposed pipes, a single bare bulb that flickered if you touched the string. In the back corner, behind the water heater, there was a door. A small door maybe 3 feet high like a crawlspace access. My grandfather kept his tools in there. Wrenches, paint cans, old rags, nothing special. But Ellie heard something coming from behind that door one night. A scratching sound, like fingernails on the other side of the wood. We put our ears to the door and listened. The scratching stopped, then a voice, soft, high, like a child trying to whisper, said, "Come in, the game is starting." We opened the door. I know how stupid that sounds, but we were 12, and we thought it was a prank. Maybe one of the older kids hiding in the crawl space, trying to scare us. David shined his flashlight into the dark. The space was small, maybe 4 feet deep, 6 feet wide. No one was in there, just shelves of old paint cans and a mildewed sleeping bag. The voice had come from somewhere else. Somewhere behind the back wall, Ellie crawled inside first. She said she wanted to see if there was a hole in the drywall. David followed. I went last. The three of us sat in that tiny space with the door open behind us, the dim light from the basement spilling in. The air was cold and smelled like rust and something sweet, like rotting fruit. We sat in a circle. Ellie said, "Let's play the quiet game." The rules were simple. We'd turn off the flashlight. We'd close our eyes. We'd stay absolutely silent for as long as we could. The first one to count as lost. But Ellie added a new rule that night. "If you hear your name," she whispered, "don't answer. Just keep your eyes closed and your mouth shut, no matter what." We turned off the light. The dark was absolute. Not the kind of dark you get in a bedroom with the curtains drawn. This was the dark of being underground, of being inside a box, of being somewhere light had never touched. I closed my eyes. I held my breath. At first I heard nothing. Just my own heartbeat too loud in my ears. Then I heard David shift his weight. Then Ellie's slow breathing. Then something else. A soft rustling, like fabric dragging across concrete. It came from behind me, from the wall where the shelves were. I wanted to open my eyes. I didn't. I remembered Ellie's rule. Then I heard my name. It was a whisper. Not Ellie's voice. Not David's. It was a voice I didn't recognize. Older, female, with a slight rasp, like someone who had been shouting for a long time. It said my name once, twice, 3 times. Each time it came from a different direction. First behind me, then to my left, then right in front of my face, so close that I felt a breath of cold air on my lips. I didn't answer. I kept my mouth shut. I squeezed my eyes tighter. The voice laughed. Not a mean laugh. A curious laugh, like a child finding a new toy. "You're good at this," it said. "Better than the others." The last ones answered right away. They screamed. They cried. It was so loud. I didn't like the loud ones. I felt something touch my hand. Fingers. Cold, thin, too many joints. They traced the lines on my palm, one by one, slow and deliberate. "I like you," the voice said. "You can stay. You can all stay. We'll play forever, the quiet game. No one makes a sound. No one leaves. Just us, in the dark, listening." I couldn't take it anymore. I screamed. I opened my eyes and scrambled backward, slamming into the doorframe. The flashlight was on the floor. Ellie must have dropped it. I grabbed it and shone the beam around the crawl space. David and Ellie were still there, sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, mouths slightly open. They weren't moving. Their chests weren't rising. I shook David's shoulder. He fell over, stiff as a board, his eyes still closed. I shook Ellie. Same thing. They were breathing. I could feel the faint puff of air from David's nose. But they wouldn't wake up. They wouldn't open their eyes. They wouldn't make a sound. I dragged them out of the crawl space. one under each arm, pulling them across the concrete floor. Their bodies were cold, not room temperature cold. Cold like they'd been outside on a winter night. I screamed for my parents. They came running. There was an ambulance, doctors, tests, comas, they said, unexplained. No brain activity, but also no brain damage. Just absent. Like someone had turned the lights off but left the house standing. David and Ellie never woke up. They lived for another 6 years on feeding tubes and ventilators before their bodies gave out. Their eyes never opened. Their mouths never moved. But sometimes, late at night in the hospital, the nurses would hear whispers coming from their rooms. Soft, high, like children's voices. Quiet, they'd say. We're playing the game. Don't ruin it. I didn't go back to my grandparents' basement for 20 years. Not until my grandfather died and we had to clean out the house. I told myself I was over it. I told myself it had been a medical mystery, nothing supernatural. I told myself the crawl space was just a crawl space. It wasn't. I went down there alone. The basement looked smaller than I remembered. The same concrete floors, the same exposed pipes, the same flickering bulb. The door to the crawl space was still there, behind the water heater. It was closed. There was a new padlock on it. My grandfather must have put it there after that night. I didn't have the key, but I had a crowbar. I pried the lock off. I opened the door. The crawl space was empty. No shelves, no paint cans, no sleeping bag. Just a small, dark space with concrete walls and a dirt floor. I crawled inside. The air was cold, colder than the basement, and it smelled the same. Rust and rotting fruit. I sat where we had sat 20 years ago. I closed my eyes. I didn't mean to. My body just did it. The voice came back. The same voice. Older now, raspier, like it had been whispering for 2 decades without a break. You came back, it said. I knew you would. They always come back. The ones who don't answer. They come back to listen. I opened my eyes. The crawl space was different. The walls were gone. The floor was gone. I was sitting in darkness. Not the dark of a small space, but the dark of somewhere vast and empty. And in that darkness there were shapes, people, sitting in circles like we had sat. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Their eyes were closed, their mouths were open. And from their mouths a low humming sound came. Not words, not music. Just sound. The sound of 100 people breathing in and out in perfect unison. The voice was all around me now. This is the quiet game, it said. You lost, you screamed, so you get to watch. The others. The ones who stayed quiet, they're still playing. They've been playing for so long. They don't remember their names anymore. They don't remember the sun. They only remember the dark and the game and me. I saw a face in the crowd, Ellie. Older now, but still 12. Still with her eyes closed and her mouth open. Humming. Next to her, David. The same. They were thinner than I remembered. Paler. Their skin almost translucent in the dark. But they were alive. Not alive, like you and me. Alive like something that has been kept in a jar for too long. I reached for Ellie's hand. It was cold, but her fingers curled around mine. Squeezed. Don't, the voice said. If you touch them, you'll stay. You'll join the game. And you won't be the watcher anymore. You'll be the played. I let go. I scrambled backward, but there was no door, no crawl space. Just darkened bodies and the endless hum. I crawled over people, over their legs, their torsos, their faces, and they didn't move. They didn't react. They just kept humming. I don't know how I got out. I woke up in the basement, lying on the concrete floor, with the crawl space door closed and padlocked behind me. The padlock was new. The crowbar was in my hand. There were scratches on my arms and dirt under my nails. I ran. I didn't clean out the house. I didn't go to the funeral. I drove home and I locked my doors and I didn't sleep for 3 days. That was 10 years ago. I've moved 7 times. I've changed my name. I don't go into basements. I don't play games in the dark. I don't close my eyes in small spaces. But I still hear the humming. Sometimes late at night when the house is quiet and the wind is still, I hear it. A low, rhythmic sound coming from inside my walls, from under my floor, from the closet I never open. It gets louder when I'm alone. It gets louder when I'm scared. Last week, I found a door in my apartment that I'd never seen before. It was in the back of my bedroom closet, behind a stack of old boxes. A small door about 3 feet high, wooden, unpainted, with a brass knob that looked old and tarnished. I didn't open it. I nailed it shut. I put the boxes back. I told myself it wasn't real. But last night, I woke up because the humming had stopped. For the first time in 10 years, the silence was total. Not the silence of a quiet room, the silence of something holding its breath. And then I heard the whisper. Not from the door, from the pillow next to my head. "We're still playing," it said. "We never stopped. And you were it." I turned on the light. No one was there. But my bedroom door was open, the closet door was open. Nope, and the small door, the one I'd nailed shut, was open too. Just a crack, just wide enough to see that the other side was not my apartment. It was dark, and in that dark I could see shapes, sitting in circles, humming. One of the shapes turned its head. It had my brother's face, David's face, but older, wrinkled. His eyes were open now. They were black, not dark brown, black. Like 2 holes had been punched through the world. He smiled. He put a finger to his lips. "Shh," he said. "The quiet game you screamed, you lost. But we can play again. We can always play again. Just come in, close the door, stay a while." I slammed the door shut. I nailed it again. I put a bookshelf in front of it. I drove 3-inch screws through the frame into the studs, but I can still hear the humming. It's coming from behind the door, from under my bed, from inside my head, and the voice, the old voice, the raspy voice. It's not whispering anymore, it's singing, a lullaby. Soft and sweet, in a language I don't know, but I understand it. It's the same song Ellie used to sing when we were kids. The one about the dark, and the game, and the children who never grow up. I'm telling you this because I think you might have a door too. A small door in a closet, a crawl space in a basement, a mirror that shows things that aren't there. And I think you might have heard the whisper. Just once, just a word. Your name, don't answer, don't scream, don't play the game. And whatever you do, don't close your eyes in the dark, because the game never ends. The players never leave. And the voice is always looking for new children to sit in the circle and hum along. I can hear it now, from behind the door, from inside the walls, from somewhere very close. "Come in," it says. "The game is starting. And you're already quiet. You're already still. You're already one of us. You just haven't opened your eyes yet. Don't open them. Don't, please.